Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Thursday, August 1st, 2013. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's jump right into the charts here. We're going to see the S&P 500 E-mini futures are flying higher this morning. They're up 13 and a quarter points to 1693.75. So a pretty big move on the futures to the upside. It looks like there's a lot of comments coming out of the ECB this morning. The ECB held their key rate at half a point. They did not make any change. And last night in Asia, the markets did rally. So when you add Ben Bernanke, the ECB, and then it looks like the Asian markets last night, it created a perfect elixir for a little bit move higher before the opening bell, and it's a pretty solid move. So when we look at Asian markets last night, you had the Nikkei 225 index up 2.5%, and the Shanghai index up 1.77%. China somehow came out with some miraculous data that says that their economy is growing, yet the data before that was that it was weakening. But the market chooses to take that the economy is growing, and that's really all that matters. We only care about the reaction. Don't really worry too much about the news. So that's what we're looking at right now. The other Asian markets all held up for the most part. India, which was the Bombay Sensex index, down just a little bit. Singapore Straits Times was up about 0.6%. Now when we look over in Europe, the German DAX is up over 1%. The Milan market, FTSE MIB up over 1%. French CAC 40 up about 0.6%. One area that is not rallying, which is the London FTSE 100, is only up about a little over 0.1%. Little surprising there, but we're not seeing all that much action in the London FTSE, at least right now, to the upside. But U.S. markets, U.S. futures are flying higher. Gold is higher as well. That's even coming on the back of a stronger U.S. dollar index. Today you'll see the U.S. dollar index is surging higher. Also, dollar yen is catching a big bid. That's up over 1 point as well today. So you have the U.S. dollar index and the dollar yen chart both higher, but so is gold. Gold is higher this morning. Right now, looking at the price of gold, we're looking at basically up $13.30 to $13.2630 an ounce. So nonetheless, the GLD is catching a pretty big bid. Now in earnings front today, we want to look at ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil had a huge miss. They missed earnings by a ton. I'll have some gap levels out here today. You're probably going to want to buy the stock since it doesn't matter what earnings are. It only matters that the Federal Reserve continues to print $85 billion a month. So at some point this will be a buy. But Exxon is getting hit pretty hard. It closed at $93.75 yesterday, trading right around $92 at the moment. For a big company, the biggest integrated energy stock out there, it was quite a miss. But I don't know if the market's going to care for all that long if they hold up today. If the market sells off, Exxon ultimately will go a lot lower and probably lead the markets a lot lower. But either way, the markets are holding up. Just a couple of minutes ago, it looks like initial weekly jobless claims were released. It looks like jobless claims came in at 326,000, down 19,000. So that's another bullish news event. But really the market just cares about one thing. Is the Fed going to continue to pump money into the system? I think the POMO today is $4 billion. So, they just keep putting money into the system, and that's the way it goes. Let's take a look at the oil markets. Oil is rebounding big today. Oil is up $2 today per barrel, 107.03 per barrel. Let's take a look at the USO. You'll see that the USO is catching a pretty solid move above the 38 level. Just yesterday, or 2 days ago, I should say, it was down to around 36.50. So that's a pretty big pop in the USO this morning. And again, spot crude on the back of inflation creation by the central banks up over $2. I don't really see any other reason why crude would be higher today, but nonetheless, everything is getting inflated, and you could even see gold. Gold is getting inflated with it. So again, the inflation move is on right now. Markets inflating really across the board and all the major indexes. We do have some gap plays out here today. We'll share those with you at 9 o'clock in the morning in the chat room. But like I said, the one big mover today on the downside is ExxonMobil. But again, that's only one stock. It's only one Dow component, one piece of the S&P 500. Not really that big a deal. We'll find well, actually, I have a couple of gap levels for it. So come on over to the chat room, and you can play that trade, ExxonMobil. We'll see how that plays out a little bit later. Looking over the markets real quick before we do sign off. One last thing you do want to know today is that I believe there was a report about the credit card companies yesterday, and it was over the debit swipe fees. And these stocks really, if you take a look at a daily chart here, really got hammered yesterday. A lot of them, flush. You could see Visa sharply lower. If you took a look at Mastercard yesterday, it was another one that was just absolutely annihilated, and then it rebounded higher. So today these stocks, I guess, are going to be in play again. They're holding up pretty well, so you want to keep an eye on the credit card companies today, Mastercard and Visa in particular. They could have some volatility, but again, yesterday the damage was done. Those stocks did make some recoveries, so watch for some volatility in those two names today, Visa and Mastercard. They could be volatile today again. All right, with that said, everybody, I'm going to leave it there. Short and sweet today. Not going to go into much more. We'll see how these markets play out a little bit later after the opening bell. Things could change, but right now markets are trading sharply higher ahead of the opening bell on the back of Bernanke, the ECB, and a stronger Asian market last night. With that said, I'll see you on the charts.